A guttural cry ripped from Queen Latifah's throat before she clamped her hand over her mouth. Rage, humiliation, terror, swallowed by the marble opulence of Seoul's Grand Celestial Hotel. Her emerald cocktail dress tore in her hands as she broke free from the banquet hall, heart hammering, panic detonating in her chest. Bartholomew Van Helsing's cologne still burned at her nostrils, his doughy fingers, his voice slick with entitlement, her manager's chosen investor. His mistake. She stumbled through the service corridor, away from the gala's glittering lies, toward the executive spa level, empty, private, safe. The sunken marble tub filled quickly. She sank into scalding water, heat wrapping her like absolution, breath coming in shudders she forced back. Deep brown skin gleaming under soft amber lighting. Water streaming down her generous curves. Dark coils clinging to her shoulders like a crown reclaimed. She was not broken. She was not ashamed. She was here. She stepped out, skin still damp, crossing into the corridor she believed was empty. It wasn't. He stood there in charcoal Armani, tailored, immaculate, shoulders perfectly squared, jaw carved from discipline and secrets. Choi Tae-jun, the Korean underground king, Seoul's royalty of the criminal world. Dangerous, brilliant, controlled. Time snapped. His eyes lifted and froze. She stopped too, completely exposed, water tracing the lines of her power, her presence burning through any expected shame. The corridor breathed, steam coiled between them. Somewhere a piano drifted faintly, the city's elegance bleeding into the hush of this impossible moment. For years, he had watched her from a distance, her performances, her strength, her refusal to diminish herself. For years he had wanted her and sworn never to cross that line. A blood oath pressed into his palm by his dying mother. Never touch what you cannot protect, never claim what you cannot keep, never shatter the fragile legitimacy she represented. Now she stood before him, exposed not as victim, but as challenge, eyes locked on his like a dare and a reckoning. Footsteps echoed behind her. A shadow moved at the far end of the hall, and Tae-jun realized the worst part wasn't the desire clawing through his legendary control. It was that he might have to choose between his oath or her safety. Before we go any further, answer me this. If you saw someone being hunted in that moment, would you break your deepest promise to protect them? Or would you honor your word and walk away? Drop your answer below, and let's keep going. The footsteps grew louder, 2 sets, heavy, purposeful. Tae-jun moved before thought could interfere. 3 strides closed the distance between them. He shrugged off his jacket mid-motion and draped it around Queen's shoulders, his movements efficient, almost clinical, though his fingers trembled once against her skin. Don't speak, he said quietly, his Korean accented English clipped. Don't move. The jacket smelled like sandalwood and gunpowder. Queen pulled it tight, her mind racing but her mouth staying shut, survival instincts from Chicago's South Side kicking in. When a predator offers protection, you assess first, question later. 2 hotel security guards rounded the corner, their radios crackling. They stopped short, seeing Tae-jun, their postures shifting immediately from authority to deference. Mr. Choi, the taller one said, his hand moving subtly away from his weapon. We received reports of a disturbance. A woman is standing right here, Tae-jun interrupted, his tone carrying the weight of unspoken consequences. Under my protection, which means she was never disturbed, never in distress, and you saw nothing, correct? The guards exchanged glances. The shorter one's jaw worked like he wanted to argue, but survival instinct won. Correct, sir. Our mistake. Indeed. Tae-jun's hand settled at the small of Queen's back, not possessive, protective. Leave us. They retreated quickly, their footsteps fading into the hotel's expensive silence. Queen exhaled slowly, her body still vibrating with adrenaline. Why? Why what? Tae-jun stepped back, and giving her space, though his eyes remained alert, scanning the corridor. Why help me? You don't know me. His jaw tightened. I know Van Helsing. I know what men like him take from women like you if no one stops them. He paused, something dangerous flickering behind his composed expression. And you're wrong. I know exactly who you are, Queen Latifah. 3 years performing at the Diamond Lotus, 2 Grammy nominations, voice like whiskey and church combined. You think I don't notice power when it walks into my city? She studied him, really looked, not the expensive suit or the criminal reputation, but the tension in his shoulders, the careful distance he maintained, the way his hands stayed visible, non-threatening. What do you want? To get you somewhere safe. Then to kill the man who touched you. His voice remained conversational, but something lethal lived beneath it. In that order. I can handle. No, not harsh, just certain. Not Van Helsing. He's connected to the Novikov Bratva, human trafficking, 3 political figures in your country. You hit him, you disappear. He already assaulted you once tonight. He'll try again. Queen's blood went cold. How do you know he? The security feed. Taijun pulled out his phone, showed her footage. Grainy but clear. Van Helsing cornering her near the coat check, his hand gripping her arm, her face twisting in disgust before she'd fled. I have eyes everywhere in this hotel. I saw. I was coming to intervene when you ran. Her hands shook. She'd known it was bad, but seeing it, having proof. Send me that. Already done. Check your email. He pocketed the phone. Now? Do you trust me enough to walk out of this corridor, or do you want to wait here until Van Helsing sends someone worse than hotel security? It was the first smart question anyone had asked her all night. Trust was irrelevant. Safety was strategy. I'll walk, she said. His private elevator required a fingerprint scan. The ride down was silent except for the mechanical hum and Queen's too-fast breathing. Taijun stood in the corner, giving her the full space, his focus on his phone. Professional, controlled. The elevator opened directly into an underground garage. A black Mercedes S-Class waited, engine running, driver standing at attention. Daijung, Taijun said to the driver. Guest suite, full security protocol. Yes. But boss. The driver opened the rear door without looking at Queen. Trained discretion. She climbed in, Taijun sliding in beside her but maintaining a careful distance. The car moved smoothly into Seoul's late-night traffic. Where are we going? Queen asked. My building, 40th floor. Private, secure, untraceable to you. He glanced at her. You'll have your own room, your own space. Guards outside, but not inside. You're a guest, not a prisoner. And in the morning? In the morning, we decide what happens to Van Helsing. His smile was cold, precise. Together, the car glided through Gangnam's neon-soaked streets. Queen watched the city blur past, her mind finally catching up to her body. She was wearing a Mafia boss's jacket, riding in his car, about to stay in his apartment. 24 hours ago. She'd been planning her next album. Now she was, what? Protected? Claimed? Hunted? You said you've watched me for 3 years, she said quietly. I did. Why? Taejun's expression shifted, something human breaking through the criminal armor. Because you were the only person in Seoul who looked at me like I was invisible. Everyone else sees the organization, the power, the danger. You saw through me to the piano player behind me at the Diamond Lotus. You smiled at Hyunwoo like he mattered. He's my cousin. Autistic. Brilliant. Ignored by everyone except you. Queen remembered. The shy young man who played Chopin like breathing. She'd complimented his transitions, asked about his favorite composers. Just kindness, common decency. That's why you're doing this? She asked. No. His eyes met hers. And for the first time, she saw the want beneath the control. I'm doing this because 3 years ago I made a promise to my mother before she died. Protect what's valuable. Never let power destroy beauty. You're both, and I keep my promises. The car stopped. Daijung opened the door. Taijun's building was glass and steel, the kind of architecture that screamed money so loudly it didn't need to say anything. The private elevator, another fingerprint scan, shot them up 40 floors in seconds. The doors opened onto a space that looked like a museum had mated with a fortress. Modern art, traditional Korean pottery, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul's sprawl. But also reinforced walls, security panels, cameras in every corner. Guest room is through there, Taejun said, pointing left. Bathroom stocked. I'll have clothes brought up in your size. You're safe here, I promise. Queen walked to the windows, Seoul glittering below like a circuit board. What now? Now you rest. Tomorrow we strategize. She turned, the jacket still wrapped around her. You really gonna kill him? Would you prefer I didn't? The honest answer sat in her throat. Yes. Yes, she wanted Van Helsing erased. But saying it out loud meant crossing a line she'd never uncrossed. I don't know you well enough to want someone dead for me, she said instead. Taejun's smile was slight, approving. Smart. Trust should be earned. He moved toward the door, then paused. For what it's worth, Queen, I've wanted to know you for 3 years. I'm sorry it took violence to make it happen. He left her there, alone in his fortress, wearing his jacket, but carrying his protection like a loaded gun. Queen didn't sleep. She showered, dressed in the clothes that appeared outside her door. Designer, perfectly sized, deliberately modest. She checked her email. The video was there, along with a second file. Van Helsing's criminal connections, financial records, everything. Taijun had been preparing for this, not for tonight specifically, but for something. He'd been building a case. When dawn broke over Seoul, she found him in the kitchen, making coffee. Still wearing last night's shirt, sleeves rolled up, looking almost normal. You didn't sleep either, she observed. Couldn't. He poured 2 cups. I kept thinking about what you said. I'm too fat to love, sir, but I can make you hard. You said that to Van Helsing, didn't you? Right before you ran. Queen's breath caught. You heard that? Audio on the security feed. He handed her coffee. It was the bravest, most defiant thing I've ever heard. You turned his disgust into your weapon. You should never have had to. She sipped the coffee. Perfect, strong, exactly what she needed. Where I'm from, big girls learn to fight with words first, body second. I've been too much my whole life. Too loud, too big, too black, too everything. So yeah, I said it. I meant it. I can't make men like him love me, but I sure as hell can make them remember me. You don't make men like him anything, Taijun said quietly. You make men like me want to burn down the world to keep you safe. The kitchen went silent except for the coffee maker's dying hiss. That's a dangerous thing to say, Queen whispered. I'm a dangerous man. He set down his cup, but not to you. A never to you. Her phone buzzed. Her manager, Felicity, 37 missed calls. Queen answered. Where are you? Felicity shrieked. Van Helsing is threatening to pull all his funding. He's saying you attacked him. You humiliated him. He assaulted me, Queen cut in. I have video proof, and if he pulls funding, good. I don't want his blood money anyway. Silence. Then, Queen baby, I know you're upset, but we can't afford. Check your email. I just sent you evidence. Either you back me or we're done. Choose. She hung up. Her hands were shaking. Taijun was watching her with something like admiration. You just ended your career. Maybe. Queen met his eyes. But I kept my spine. That's worth more. It is, he agreed. Then carefully, let me make you an offer, not as a criminal, as someone who understands power. The Van Helsing has enemies, real ones. Prosecutors who want him, agencies tracking his networks. I can deliver him to them, legally. He goes to prison, you stay clean, and his funding evaporates anyway. All I need is your testimony when the time comes. Why would you do that? Because watching you fight back turned something on in me that I thought was dead. His voice dropped. And because I made you a promise. Protection. I keep my promises. Queen's heart was doing something complicated in her chest. Fear, want, hope, all tangled. What do you get out of this? Taijun's smile was slow, devastating. Time with you, legitimate time, dinner, conversation, the chance to prove I'm more than my reputation. You're a gangster. I'm a businessman with aggressive competitors. He shrugged. Semantics. Despite everything, Queen laughed. It felt like the first real breath she'd taken in hours. You're insane. Probably. He extended his hand. Partners? She looked at his hand. Scarred knuckles, steady fingers, a promise wrapped in danger. Everything rational screamed to run. But Queen Latifah had never been rational. She'd been brave. She shook his hand. Partners. His grip was firm, warm, and when he smiled, she saw what 3 years of watching had hidden. He was just as scared as she was. Seoul's morning news cycle moved fast. By noon, gossip sites were running with it. American singer in mystery scandal, Van Helsing investment deal collapses. No names, but enough innuendo to make Queen's phone explode with messages. Taijun handled it with surgical precision. One call to his attorney, another to a journalist he'd helped once. And suddenly, the narrative shifted. Investor under investigation for assault claims. Multiple women coming forward. Queen watched him work from the penthouse's living room, impressed despite herself. He didn't raise his voice, didn't threaten. He just moved pieces on a board only he could see. How many women? She asked when he hung up. 7 so far. Once you give people permission to speak, they do. He sat across from her. Your testimony will be the catalyst, but you won't be alone. The prosecutor I'm working with specializes in high-profile predators. Van Helsing will spend the next decade in litigation, minimum. You really had this ready. I've had it ready for 6 months. I was waiting for the right moment. His expression darkened. I knew he'd slip eventually. Men like him always do. I just wish I'd moved faster. You moved fast enough. Queen leaned forward. But I need to understand something. Why me? Why not one of the other women? Taijun was quiet for a long moment. Then, because you're the only one who fought back loud enough for the world to hear. The others were silenced by contracts, fear, money. You screamed. You ran. You turned his attack into a declaration. That's power I can work with. It should have felt manipulative. Instead, it felt like being seen. I need to go back to my hotel, Queen said. Get my things. Face this. Not alone. I'm not asking permission. Good. I wasn't offering it. He stood. We go together, or you don't go. Your choice. Queen wanted to argue, but strategic thinking won. Van Helsing had resources. She didn't. Not yet. Together, she conceded. The hotel lobby was a battlefield disguised as marble. Paparazzi camped outside, hotel staff whispering, guests staring. Queen walked through it all with her head high, Taijun beside her like a shield in a suit. Van Helsing was waiting near the concierge desk, flanked by lawyers. He looked smaller in daylight, red-faced, sweating, desperate. "You lying bitch," he spat as she approached. "I'll sue you for everything." Tae-jun stepped between them so smoothly it looked choreographed. "Mr. Van Helsing, I'd advise against making public threats. Witnesses tend to remember them during depositions." Van Helsing's face went purple. "And who the hell are you?" "Her attorney." Tae-jun's smile was all teeth. "Among other things, you should expect a lawsuit by end of business today. Sexual assault, intentional infliction of emotional distress, defamation. We're starting at 8 figures and going up from there." "You can't. I have connections." "Had connections," Tae-jun corrected. "Check your phone. Senator Durwood just issued a statement condemning workplace harassment. He's withdrawing his support. So is the Madison Foundation. So is... You son of a... Careful." Tae-jun's voice dropped to something glacial. "Slander's expensive, too." Queen watched Van Helsing implode in real time. The bluster, the rage, the dawning realization that his world was collapsing. She felt nothing. Not satisfaction, not pity. Just the cold clarity of survival. "I'm getting my things," she said. "Don't follow me." She walked to the elevator, Tae-jun falling into step beside her. The doors closed on Van Helsing's shouting. That was extremely satisfying," Queen admitted. "It gets better. Wait until the indictment." Her hotel room looked untouched, but Queen could feel the violation. Someone had been here, searched her things. Van Helsing's people, probably. Looking for leverage. "They took my laptop," she said, checking her bag. "I know, I have it." Tae-jun pulled it from his briefcase. "Retrieved it this morning. Also cloned the hard drive in case they try to plant evidence later." Queen stared at him. "You think of everything." "I have to. Survival isn't luck, it's preparation." She packed quickly. Clothes, toiletries, the few things that mattered. When she finished, Tae-jun was standing at the window, looking out at Seoul. "What are you thinking?" she asked. "That you're going to need somewhere to stay longer than a night." He turned. "My guest room is yours as long as you need it. No strings, no expectations, just safety while this plays out." "That's a lot of trust from a man who barely knows me." "No," he said quietly. "It's a lot of hope from a man who wants to." The vulnerability in his voice hit her sideways. This wasn't criminal strategy or protective posturing. This was real. "Okay," Queen said, "but I'm paying rent." "Absolutely not." "Tae-jun." "Queen." He stepped closer, close enough that she could see the exhaustion beneath his control. "Let me do this. Let me be the person who protects you without taking anything in return. Please." She'd spent her whole life fighting for space, for respect, for the right to exist in her body without apology. Letting someone protect her felt like surrender. But maybe, just maybe, it was strategy too. "Yeah, to 1 month," she said. "Then we renegotiate." His smile was pure relief. "Deal." They left the hotel through the service entrance, avoiding the cameras. Dae-jung was waiting with the car. As they pulled into traffic, Queen's phone rang. "Felicity." "I saw the video," her manager said without preamble. "I'm sorry. I should have believed you immediately. I'm firing Van Helsing as a client and referring his other artists to new representation. Can you forgive me?" Queen closed her eyes. "Yeah, Felicity, I can." "Good. Because I just got 3 interview requests, 2 performance offers, and a book deal inquiry. Apparently standing up to powerful men is good for publicity. Who knew?" Despite everything, Queen laughed. "Capitalism is wild." "It is. Come home when you're ready. Your career's waiting." Queen hung up and looked at Tae-jun. I think I just accidentally became a feminist icon." "You were always an icon," he said. "The world's just catching up." Back at the penthouse, Queen claimed the guest room properly. Unpacked, arranged her things, made it hers. When she emerged, Tae-jun had dinner waiting. Nothing fancy, just bibimbap and kimchi, comfort food. They ate in companionable silence until Queen asked, "Tell me about your mother." Tae-jun's chopsticks paused. "Why?" "Because you invoked her when you saved me. I want to know who raised a gangster with a conscience." He smiled sadly. "She was a literature professor, specialized in classical Korean poetry, hated what my father built, loved him anyway. When she got sick, she made me promise to use the organization for protection, not destruction. To be better than my inheritance." "Are you?" "I'm trying." He met her eyes. "Some days are easier than others. Like today? Today was easy. You made it easy." Queen's chest tightened. "How?" "Because protecting you feels like the promise finally making sense." The air between them shifted, thicker, charged. Queen felt it, the pull she'd been ignoring since the corridor. But this wasn't fear or adrenaline. This was choice. "Tae-jun," she said carefully, "I need you to know something. I meant what I said to Van Helsing. I've spent my whole life being told I'm too much, too big, too black, too loud. I don't do delicate, I don't do dainty, and I sure as hell don't do rescued princess." "Good," he said. "I don't do rescuing, I do partnerships." "Then partner with me on this. I'm attracted to you. Have been since the corridor. Duh, but if we go there, it's because we both choose it, not because you saved me or I owe you. Clear? His eyes went dark with want. Crystal. And one more thing. She stood, walked to where he sat, close enough to feel his heat. I am too fat to love, sir, in the way the world defines love. Pretty, small, convenient, but I can make you hard with just my voice, my presence, my refusal to shrink. If that's not enough, walk away now. Taijun rose slowly, deliberately, until they were inches apart. Queen Latifah, he said, voice rough, you are not too anything. You are exactly enough. And yes, you make me hard. You make me want. You make me hope. Is that enough? She kissed him, hard, claiming. 3 years of watching compressed into heat and teeth and breath, he kissed back like drowning, like salvation. Let his hands careful on her waist, even as his mouth demanded everything. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Queen smiled. Partners? Partners, he confirmed, in every way that matters. Morning came too fast and too slow. Queen woke in her own bed, alone. Taijun had been gentleman enough to kiss her goodnight and walk away, leaving the choice of more entirely to her. She appreciated it even as her body mourned the restraint. Her phone showed 17 new messages. Most were supportive. Friends, colleagues, fans who'd somehow gotten her number. But 3 stood out. The first was from Van Helsing's lawyer. Cease and desist or face countersuit for defamation. The second was from an unknown number. Careful, beautiful. Accidents happen to loud women. The third was from Taijun. At a time-stamped 4 a.m. Already traced the threat. Handling it. You're safe. Queen found him in his office, surrounded by monitors showing security feeds, financial data, and what looked like surveillance photos. He glanced up when she entered. The threat? She asked. Van Helsing's head of security, former Blackwater operative currently unemployed as of 20 minutes ago. He's been escorted out of the country with a very clear understanding of what happens if he returns. You had him deported? I had him persuaded that Thailand's beaches are lovelier than Seoul's prisons. Taijun stood, rolling tension from his shoulders. Coffee? Please. She followed him to the kitchen. How much sleep did you get? Enough. Liar. He smiled, pouring 2 cups. 3 hours. I'm functional. You're running on fumes and adrenaline. So are you. He handed her coffee. Difference is, I'm used to it. They drank in silence, the city waking up beyond the windows. Queen studied him, the shadows under his eyes. The careful way he held himself, like relaxation, was a luxury he couldn't afford. What's the play today? She asked. You give your deposition. My attorney, Park Yeon-mi, will be with you. She's brilliant, ruthless, and has a 93% conviction rate. Van Helsing's team will try to intimidate you. They'll fail. You sound confident. I am. I've seen you face worse. He set down his cup. But I need you to understand something. Once you give this deposition, you become a target. Not just for Van Helsing, but for everyone connected to him. The Bratva, the politicians, the other predators who want you silenced. Are you ready for that? Queen had been ready since she was 14, and a music teacher told her she'd never make it because girls who looked like her didn't sell records. She'd been ready when her first manager tried to sleep with her for a contract. She'd been ready every time someone looked at her body before her talent. I was born ready, she said. The deposition took 4 hours. Park Yeon-mi was everything Taijun promised. Sharp, unflappable, turning every attack from Van Helsing's lawyers into evidence of their desperation. Queen told her story cleanly, factually, and when they tried to question her credibility, she simply said, I have video evidence. Do you? They didn't. When it ended, Yeon-mi walked Queen out personally. You did exceptionally well. The prosecutor will have enough to move forward with criminal charges by next week. That fast? When you have Choi Taijun's resources backing you? Yes. Yeon-mi's smile was knowing. He's been building this case for months. You're not his first Van Helsing victim he's helped, but you're the one he's most invested in. I wonder why. Queen didn't answer, but her cheeks warmed. Taijun was waiting in the lobby, flanked by 2 security personnel Queen recognized from his building. He looked her over, assessing. How are you? Tired, angry, satisfied. She managed to smile. How's that for range? Perfect. He gestured to the guards. This is Sumin and Jai Hwan. They'll be shadowing you whenever you're outside the penthouse until Van Helsing's trial concludes. Is that necessary? Someone tried to run you off the road 20 minutes ago. His voice was flat, controlled fury. So yes. Queen's blood went cold. What? Caught on traffic cameras. Black sedan, no plates. Tried to sideswipe Daejung's car on the way to get you. He evaded. They fled. I have people tracking them now. Jesus. Queen's legs felt unsteady. Taejun's hand found the small of her back, steadying. You're safe, I promise. But we need to be smarter. No more public appearances without full security. No more predictable schedules. I can't live in a cage. You won't. You'll live strategically. He guided her toward the car. There's a difference. Back at the penthouse, Queen paced while Tae-jun made calls. She heard fragments. Triple the perimeter. Background checks on everyone. I don't care what it costs. And felt the walls closing in. When he finally hung up, she turned on him. I didn't sign up for this. I know. I can't perform if I'm hiding. I know. I can't build a career locked in a fortress. I know. He crossed to her, hands visible, non-threatening. What do you want, Queen? Tell me and I'll make it happen. I want Van Helsing gone. Permanently. He will be. The law will handle it. The law takes years. I don't have years. Tae-jun's expression shifted, something dangerous emerging. What are you asking me to do? Queen knew exactly what she was asking. She'd grown up in neighborhoods where justice came from the streets, not courtrooms. She understood the language he spoke. I'm asking you to make him disappear, she said quietly. Not killed, not martyred, just gone, discredited, destroyed. So thoroughly that no one would believe him even if he tried to come back. That's not justice. No, Queen agreed. It's survival, and I'm tired of playing fair with men who never do. Tae-jun studied her for a long moment. Then, if I do this, there's no going back. You become complicit. You become mine in a way that law can't touch, but conscience will. Are you sure? Queen thought about Chicago, about every time she'd been told to smile through assault, about Van Helsing's hands on her body, about the women who'd been silenced before her. I'm sure. Then it's done. He pulled out his phone. I'll need 48 hours. What are you going to do? Better if you don't know. Deniability matters. He paused. But when it's over, Van Helsing will wish I'd killed him instead. Queen should have felt guilty. She didn't. She felt powerful. That night, they didn't touch. They sat on opposite ends of the couch, watching Seoul's lights, both carrying the weight of what they'd just agreed to. Finally, Queen spoke. Tell me something true, she said. What do you want to know? Who you were before your mother died. Tae-jun was quiet so long she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, I was studying music, piano performance at Juilliard. I wanted to compose film scores, live in New York, teach. I wanted nothing to do with my father's organization. What changed? He died. Car bomb meant for him hit her instead. And suddenly I had a choice. Let his empire collapse into chaos. Or take control and shape it into something she could forgive. He smiled bitterly. I chose forgiveness. Some days I regret it. Do you still play? Late at night when I can't sleep. Why? Because I want to hear you. Queen stood, extended her hand. Play for me. He let her lead him to the piano in the corner, a Steinway grand clearly beloved. He sat, flexed his fingers, and began. Chopin, Nocturne in E-flat major, haunting, beautiful, achingly sad. Queen listened, watching his face transform. This was who he'd been before violence, before duty. This was the man his mother had raised. When he finished, she was crying. That was devastating, she whispered. That was goodbye, he said, to the person I could have been. Queen sat beside him on the bench. Play something else. Ma, play something that says hello to who you are now. He thought for a moment, then began again. Rachmaninoff this time. Powerful, complex, demanding. His hands moved with absolute certainty, commanding the keys like he commanded everything else. When he finished, Queen kissed him. Slow, deep, tasting the music on his lips. Partners, she breathed against his mouth. Partners, he confirmed, and pulled her closer. Queen woke to silence. The penthouse felt different, heavier, like pressure before a storm. Tae-jun was gone, his bedroom door open, bed made with military precision. A note on the kitchen counter. Business. Back by evening. Guards outside. Stay safe. T. She should have felt abandoned. Instead, she felt the thrill of conspiracy. Whatever he was doing to Van Helsing was happening now, and she was part of it. Like her phone buzzed. Felicity. 2 things, her manager said. Good news. Billboard wants you for their Power 100 issue. Women Who Fight Back feature. Bad news. Van Helsing's PR team is shopping a counter-narrative. Anonymous sources claiming you seduced him, then cried assault when he rejected you. Let them try, Queen said coldly. We have video. I know. I'm just warning you. It's going to get uglier before the truth wins. It always did. Queen spent the morning working. Vocal exercises, songwriting, letting the fury fuel creativity. By noon, she had the bones of a new song, Too Much Woman. It was angry, defiant, sexy. It was perfect. Suman knocked gently. Ms. Latifa, you have a visitor. She says she's your sister. Queen's heart stopped. Keisha? Her baby sister burst through the door like a hurricane, all curves and braids and righteous fury. What the hell, Queen? I had to learn from TMZ that you got assaulted. They collided in a hug that hurt, both of them crying, laughing, holding on. How did you even get here? Queen managed. Tae-jun flew me out, first class, sent a whole security team to Chicago to get me. Keisha pulled back, studying her sister's face. He said you needed family. Was he right? Yeah, Queen admitted. He was. They spent the afternoon like they used to, talking, eating junk food Keisha had somehow smuggled past the guards, dissecting everything. Keisha was blunt. So you're living with a Korean mobster who's criminally fine and wants to destroy your abuser. This is either the best romance novel ever or the worst decision you've made. Maybe both, Queen said. You in love with him? I don't know him well enough to love him, but you want to. Queen didn't answer. Keisha smirked. Girl, you got it bad. Does he treat you right? Better than anyone ever has. Then ride or die, sis. Just keep your head on straight. Ta-Jun returned at 7, looking exhausted but satisfied. He stopped short, seeing Keisha. You must be the sister, he said, and you must be the gangster with a conscience. Keisha looked him over. You hurt my sister. I don't care how many guards you have. Understood? Understood. His smile was genuine. Thank you for coming. She needed you. I know. Keisha grabbed her bag. I'm staying at the Grand Celestial. Different floor, better suite, courtesy of Mr. Was Choi's guilt money. Queen, I'll see you tomorrow. We're going shopping. Keisha, with security. I'm not stupid. She hugged Queen hard. Love you. Be smart. When she left, Queen turned to Tai-Jun. You flew my sister out? You needed family. I provided. He shrugged. It's what partners do. What did you do today? Made some calls. Moved some pieces. He met her eyes. Van Helsing's financial records just got leaked to the IRS, Interpol, and 3 investigative journalists. His shell companies are being audited. His investors are fleeing. By Monday, he'll be bankrupt and under federal investigation in 2 countries. Queen's breath caught. You destroyed him. Financially, yes. Legally, the deposition will destroy him criminally. Socially, the journalists will destroy his reputation. By the time we're done, he'll be a cautionary tale. Ta-Jun stepped closer. No one will believe a word he says about you, ever. It was more than justice. It was annihilation. Thank you, Queen whispered. Don't thank me. We're partners. This is what we do. That night, they crossed the line completely. No hesitation, no games. Just heat and need, and the raw honesty of bodies speaking what mouths couldn't yet say. Afterward, tangled in his sheets, Queen traced the scars on his ribs. Tell me about these. Knife fight, 5 years ago. Rival gang thought killing me would solve their problems. Did it? They're gone. I'm here. You tell me. She kissed each scar like absolution. I'm glad you survived. So am I. His hand curved around her hip, possessive but gentle. Especially now. Van Helsing's empire collapsed faster than anyone predicted. By Tuesday, his arrest was international news. By Wednesday, 7 more women had come forward. By Friday, he was in custody pending extradition to face charges in 3 countries. Queen watched it unfold from Tai-Jun's penthouse, equal parts satisfied and hollow. Justice felt less triumphant than she'd imagined. You're quiet, Tai-Jun observed over dinner. I keep thinking about the other women, the ones who didn't get this, who suffered in silence. You gave them a voice. That matters. Does it? She set down her fork. Van Helsing's gone, but there are hundreds like him, thousands. What did we really change? We changed your life. We changed those 7 women's lives. We proved that fighting back works. He reached across the table, took her hand. Revolution starts small, Queen. You lit the match. Others will carry the fire. She wanted to believe him, but grief sat heavy in her chest. For who she'd been before the corridor, for the innocence she had lost, for the women still trapped. I want to do more, she said. Then we will. Together. The foundation launched 3 weeks later. Too Much Woman. Supporting survivors of assault in entertainment, funding legal battles, providing security. Queen became its face. Tai-Jun provided resources and infrastructure, staying carefully behind the scenes. The press loved it. From victim to victor. Queen Latifah's new mission. She did interviews, talked about survival, refused to be ashamed. But privately, she was changing. The woman who'd screamed in that corridor felt distant now. In her place was someone harder, sharper, more willing to play the game Tai-Jun's way. I'm worried about you, Keisha said one afternoon. They were in Tai-Jun's gym, Queen working a heavy bag with vicious precision. Why? Because you're starting to sound like him. All strategy, no feeling. Queen hit the bag harder. Feeling gets you hurt, and shutting down gets you alone. Keisha caught the bag, stilling it. Queen, I love that you're strong, but don't forget you're also soft. That's not weakness. That's what makes you human. Softness almost got me raped. No, Van Helsing almost got you raped. Your softness let you survive it, make art from it, help others. Don't let him take that too. Queen's eyes burned. She pulled off her gloves, letting Keisha hug her while she cried for the first time since the deposition. That night, she found Tai-Jun in his office, buried in paperwork. And she climbed into his lap without asking, needing his solidity. "Tell me something true," she said. "I'm falling in love with you, and it terrifies me." Queen's breath caught. Why terrifying? Because love makes you vulnerable, and vulnerability gets people killed in my world. Then don't love me in your world. Love me in ours. Is there a difference? There has to be, Queen said fiercely, because I'm falling too, and I refuse to let fear win. He kissed her like drowning, like prayer. Partners? Always. The first threat came via email. A photo of Queen leaving a studio, crosshairs superimposed over her head. No message, no demands, just menace. Taejun's response was immediate. Security tripled. Her schedule became classified. Sumin and Jae-hwan became shadows she couldn't shake. This is Van Helsing's people, Taejun said, his voice deadly calm. Revenge for his arrest. Can you stop them? I can find them. His smile was winter. And when I do, they'll regret the threat. But 2 days later, another photo arrived. Keisha at a cafe, same crosshairs. Then Queen's mother in Chicago. Then Felicity. They're trying to isolate you, Taejun explained. Make you feel helpless. It's psychological warfare. It's working. Queen stared at the photos, rage and fear warring. I can't let them hurt my family. They won't. I'm moving everyone to secure locations. Your mother and Keisha are flying here today. Felicity's getting private security in LA. No one touches your people. I promise. Queen believed him. But the threats kept coming. Deliveries of dead flowers, late-night calls with breathing on the line, our emails detailing her daily movements. Someone was watching. Always. The paranoia ate at her. She stopped sleeping well, jumped at shadows, checked locks obsessively. Taejun noticed. Talk to me, he said one midnight when he found her pacing. I can't do this. Live like prey, looking over my shoulder forever. You won't have to. We're close to identifying the source. And then what? You kill them? More people die because of me. No one dies because of you. They die because they chose violence. He pulled her close. This isn't your fault, Queen. None of it. Then why does it feel like I brought war to everyone I love? Because you're human. And humans feel guilt even for things beyond their control. He tilted her chin up. But listen to me. You are not responsible for other people's evil. Van Helsing chose to assault you. And his people chose revenge. You chose to survive. That's all. She wanted to believe it. But at 3 a.m., alone with her thoughts, doubt crept in. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Hyunwoo, Taejun's cousin. He'd been analyzing the threat emails, tracking metadata, and found a pattern. They're all routed through the same VPN server in Prague, he told them, his fingers flying across keyboards. But the original IP, it's here, in Seoul, someone local. Taejun's expression went glacial. Show me. The trace led to a high-rise in Gangnam. Apartment 3407, registered to a shell company Taejun recognized immediately. Dmitry Volkov, he said. Novikov Bratva, Van Helsing's partners in trafficking. Why target me? Queen asked. Because destroying you sends a message. No one touches their operations. No one testifies. The fear wins. Taejun's jaw tightened. Except it doesn't. Not this time. What are you going to do? Have a conversation. He looked at her. Stay here. Let me handle this. No. Queen stood. I'm coming. Absolutely not. It's too dangerous. I don't care. They threaten my family because of me. I need to face them. Queen. Partners, remember? That means we face danger together. He wanted to argue. She saw it in his eyes, but he also saw her resolve. Fine, he conceded. But you stay in the car, guards on all sides. If anything goes wrong, Daejung drives you straight back here. Non-negotiable. Deal. The high-rise was sterile, expensive, anonymous. Taejun left Queen in the car with 4 guards while he and 2 others went inside. She watched the entrance, heart hammering. 10 minutes, 15, then gunfire. Muffled but unmistakable. Daejung started the engine. Ms. Latifa, we need to go. Wait, orders are clear. I said wait. More gunfire. Then silence. Queen's hands shook. The entrance doors burst open. Taejun emerged, blood on his shirt but walking. Behind him, his men dragged a figure. Volkov, Queen assumed. Conscious but beaten. Taejun climbed into the car. Drive! Are you hurt? Queen demanded. Not my blood. He looked at her, something wild in his eyes. It's done. He'll talk to the police. Give up Van Helsing's whole network. The threats stop now. You could have died. But I didn't. He took her hand. And neither will you. Not on my watch. Back at the penthouse, Queen cleaned his knuckles, split from punching, not bullets. He watched her work, quiet. You were right, he said finally. About what? Partners means facing danger together. I'm sorry I tried to shut you out. You were protecting me. I was underestimating you. He caught her hand. I won't make that mistake again. That night, they loved each other like war survivors. desperate, grateful, alive. And when Queen woke at dawn, Tae-jun still sleeping beside her, she realized the threats had stripped away her last illusions. She wasn't softness and song anymore. She was steel. She was fury. She was his partner in every dark corner of this life, and she was done apologizing for it. If you've ever had to become someone harder just to survive, drop a comment below. Sometimes the world doesn't give us a choice. It just demands we evolve or break. Van Helsing's trial began in autumn. Queen testified via secure video link, Tae-jun beside her off-camera. So she was calm, factual, devastating. The defense tried to discredit her. The evidence buried them. Conviction took 3 weeks. Sentencing took 1 hour. 18 years, no parole. Queen felt nothing watching him taken away in chains. No triumph, no closure. Just the hollow echo of justice delayed. "It's over," Tae-jun said afterward. "Is it?" Queen turned to him. "Volkov's bosses are still out there. Van Helsing's network is bigger than one man. When does it actually end?" "When we make it end." He cupped her face. Together. The word had become their covenant. Partners. Together. 2 people against systems designed to destroy them, but partnerships needed boundaries. That night, over wine and Seoul's glittering skyline, they had the conversation they'd been avoiding. "I can't stay in Seoul forever," Queen said. "My career's in the States. My family's there. My life. I know. And I can't ask you to leave. Your organization, your obligations, they're here. I know." Tae-jun set down his glass. "So what do? We figure out what this is, what we want it to be. I want you," he said simply. "However I can have you. Long distance, short visits, stolen weeks. I'll take it all. That's not sustainable. Then tell me what is." Queen had been thinking about this for days. "I spend 4 months a year here, recording, performing, building the Foundation's Asia branch. You visit the States when business allows. We make it work because we choose to, not because we have to. 4 months isn't enough. It's what I can give without losing myself." She met his eyes. "I won't be the woman who disappears into a man's life, even yours." He smiled, sad but understanding. "I wouldn't want you to. Your independence is what makes you extraordinary. Can you live with that? With me being gone more than I'm here? I've lived with worse." He pulled her close. "And phone sex is a thing, right? Despite everything," Queen laughed. "You're ridiculous. I'm in love with you. It's made me optimistic. Don't get used to it. I'm still a handful. Good. I prefer challenge to compliance." They sealed it with a kiss that promised everything they couldn't say. Patience, flexibility, trust. The foundation of something real built on the ruins of trauma. But Seoul had one more test waiting. The invitation arrived 2 days later. The Korean Entertainment Council's annual gala. Black tie, A-list, impossible to refuse without causing offense. And Tae-jun's name was on it as a major donor. "Come with me," he said. "As what? Your girlfriend? You're kept American?" "As my partner. Publicly. Let them see us together." "Tae-jun, that's dangerous, I know. Political suicide for you. Reputational nightmare for me. But I'm tired of hiding." His voice softened. 3 years I watched you from shadows. Let me stand beside you in light." Queen's heart hammered. Going public meant scrutiny, judgment, racist commentary, career implications. But it also meant claiming him, owning what they'd built. "Okay," she said, "let's give them something to talk about." The gala was opulence weaponized. Crystal, champagne, celebrities who'd never acknowledge her under normal circumstances, suddenly interested. Queen wore red, a dress that celebrated every curve. Her natural hair in a crown of coils, her arm through Tae-jun's like ownership. They were magnificent together. His restraint, her boldness, his precision, her passion. Cameras flashed endlessly. "Mr. Choi," a reporter called. "Who's your date?" "Queen Latifah," he said simply. "Singer, activist, my partner. Partner in business? In everything that matters." The gossip blogs exploded before dessert. Mafia boss and American singer, secret romance? Queen Latifah's dangerous new man. From assault victim to gangster's girl, career suicide or power move? Queen read them all with detached amusement. Let them speculate. She knew the truth, but not everyone was amused. Late in the evening, a woman approached. Early 50s, immaculate, cold. "Mrs. Choi," Tae-jun said, his voice carefully neutral. I didn't expect you." His stepmother. Queen had heard about her. The woman who'd married Tae-jun's father for money, stayed for power, loathed Tae-jun for inheriting both. "I needed to see the woman who's finally tamed the untamable son." Mrs. Choi's smile was venom. "Tell me, dear, how does it feel being Seoul's latest scandal?" "Empowering," Queen said evenly. "How does it feel being yesterday's?" Mrs. Choi's expression curdled. "Careful, girl. You're playing in a world you don't understand." "Actually, I understand perfectly. You married power. I partnered with it. There's a difference. Tae-jun will tire of you. He always tires of his distractions. Then you don't know your stepson at all. Queen stepped closer. He's been watching me for 3 years, protecting me, building a life with me. I'm not a distraction. I'm his choice. Get comfortable with it. Mrs. Choi's eyes narrowed. We'll see how long that lasts. She swept away, fury in every step. Tae-jun let out a breath. You just made an enemy, he said. I've survived worse. Queen took his hand. Besides, she was always going to hate me. Might as well earn it. His laugh was surprised, delighted. You're fearless. No, I'm just done being scared. They left early, drove through Seoul's midnight streets, ended up at Han River. The city reflected in black water, alive and indifferent. Tell me something true, Queen said. I think you're the bravest person I've ever met. Why? Because you face every threat, assault, death, public humiliation, and you keep choosing to be soft where it counts. Hard where you must. That's not survival. That's art. Queen's throat tightened. I learned from watching you. Strategy and heart combined. Then we're teaching each other. He pulled her close. That's what the best partnerships do. Under souls in different stars, Queen finally let herself believe it. This wild, dangerous, impossible thing between them could actually work. Not because it was easy, but because they both chose it. And choice, she'd learned, was the most powerful weapon of all. The blowback started Monday. Love and Tension YouTube channel, Queen's platform for sharing her story, exploded with comments, some supportive, most vicious. She's using him for protection. He's using her for legitimacy. Interracial gangster romance, how progressive. She went from victim to villain real quick. Queen read them all with Tae-jun in his office. He looked murderous. I can shut this down, he said. No, let them talk. She closed the laptop. Words can't hurt me anymore. Actions can. The actions came 3 days later. Keisha was grabbed outside a restaurant in Itaewon. Broad daylight, witnesses everywhere. 3 men, black van, gone in seconds. Security footage showed professional execution. Queen got the call from Soo-min and went ice cold. Where's Tae-jun? On his way. Ms. Latifah, you need to stay calm. Don't tell me to be calm. Find my sister. Tae-jun arrived within minutes, his expression glacial murder. He pulled Queen into his office, pulled up security feeds, made calls with terrifying efficiency. It's Mrs. Choi, he said finally. Your stepmother kidnapped my sister? Hired people too. She wants leverage. Me away from you or Keisha suffers. He looked at Queen. I'm going to kill her. No. Queen's mind raced. That's what she wants. You in prison, me vulnerable, her reclaiming power. We play this smart. Queen, they have Keisha. I know, her voice cracked. I know, and I'm terrified. But panic helps no one. Think. You're brilliant at this. What would you do if it wasn't personal? Tae-jun forced himself to breathe, to think. Trace the van, identify the crew, apply pressure to their employer until they give up location. So do that. It takes time we don't have. Then buy time. Queen pulled out her phone. I'll call Mrs. Choi, negotiate. Absolutely not. Tae-jun, trust me. She met his eyes. Partners, remember? He wanted to refuse, but he'd promised to let her be strong. Okay, he said, but I'm listening. Queen dialed the number Tae-jun provided. Mrs. Choi answered on the second ring. I wondered when you'd call, she purred. Where's my sister? Safe, for now. Whether she stays that way depends on you. Name your terms. Leave Seoul, tonight. Never contact Tae-jun again. Break his heart publicly. Say he was using you. You were scared. Whatever lie sells best. Do that, and your sister gets returned unharmed. Queen's hands shook with rage. And if I refuse, then I'll send her back piece by piece. Tae-jun's expression promised death. Queen held up a hand, keeping him quiet. I need proof she's alive, Queen said. Silence. Then Keisha's voice, terrified but defiant. Don't you dare give in, Queen. This bitch is bluffing. The call cut off. Queen closed her eyes, breathing through fury. When she opened them, her voice was steel. I'm not leaving. And you're going to return Keisha within 2 hours, or I'm going to the media with every piece of evidence Tae-jun has on your late husband's criminal empire, including your involvement. The money laundering, the trafficking, the murders you ordered. All of it. You're bluffing. Try me. I survived Van Helsing. I built a foundation on speaking truth. You think I'm scared of you? Queen's laugh was cold. You're just another bully in expensive clothes, and I eat bullies for breakfast. She hung up. Tae-jun stared at her. That was either brilliant or suicidal. Both, probably. Queen's voice shook. Please tell me you actually have evidence on her. 3 filing cabinets worth. I've been building it for years. Then use it. Leak enough to make her panic. Hold back enough to threaten prosecution. Make her choose between Keisha and prison. Tae-jun's smile was vicious. You really are my partner. The next 90 minutes were surgical. Tae-jun leaked financial documents to prosecutors, sent photos of Mrs. Choi meeting with known criminals to journalists, made calls to politicians she'd bribed, reminding them evidence of their corruption was also available. Then, he sent one final message to Mrs. Choi. You have 30 minutes to return Keisha or every file goes public. Choose. 28 minutes later, Keisha was dropped at the penthouse entrance, unharmed but furious. Queen collapsed into her sister's arms, sobbing. Tae-jun's security swept Keisha for trackers, verified she wasn't hurt, then gave them space. I'm okay, Keisha insisted. They just drove around, made threats, tried to scare me. Amateurs. I'm so sorry. Stop, this isn't your fault. Keisha gripped Queen's shoulders. But we need to talk about Mrs. Choi. She's not done. I know. Then what's the plan? Queen looked at Tae-jun, who'd been standing quietly by. He nodded. We finish her, Queen said. Legally, publicly, permanently. The case built quickly. Prosecutors who'd been investigating Mr. Choi's empire for years suddenly had cooperation from his son. Evidence poured in. Money trails, communications, witness testimonies. Mrs. Choi was indicted within a week. Her arrest was front-page news. Criminal Queen falls, Mrs. Choi charged with racketeering conspiracy. Queen watched the footage with Tae-jun. Mrs. Choi being led away in handcuffs, her perfect facade cracking. How do you feel? She asked him. Lighter. He turned to her. She killed my mother, not directly, but her manipulation set it up. I've been planning this for 10 years. And now it's done. Now it's done. He kissed her forehead. Because you gave me the final push. Thank you. But victory had costs. The media scrutiny intensified. Queen's Foundation faced questions about Tae-jun's funding sources. Her upcoming album release was delayed amid controversy. Brands dropped sponsorships. This is what I was afraid of, she told Keisha one evening, becoming collateral damage in his world. Then leave, Keisha said bluntly. I love you, and I'll support you either way. But if this life is destroying yours, walk away. No shame. Queen thought about it, really considered it. Life would be simpler alone, safer, more predictable. But simpler wasn't what she wanted anymore. Safe was a cage, and predictable was death. No, she said finally. I'm staying, but on my terms. She found Tae-jun in his office, staring at Seoul's skyline. We need new rules, she said. He turned. Okay. First, the foundation gets independent funding. No more direct money from your organization. I won't let people question the work because of where the money comes from. Done. I'll set up a clean donor network. Second, my career decisions are mine. You advise, you protect, but you don't control. I'm not your project. I never thought you were. Third, when I need space, you give it. No questions, no guilt. I love you, but I need room to breathe. His expression softened. I can do that. And fourth, Queen stepped closer. When we're together, it's just us. No business, no strategy, no war. Just two people who chose each other. That's the easiest rule I've ever agreed to. He pulled her close. Anything else? Yeah. Kiss me before I change my mind about this whole crazy arrangement. He did. Thoroughly. Completely. Until Seoul's lights blurred and nothing existed except them. Spring came to Seoul with cherry blossoms and reckoning. Queen's album Too Much Woman dropped to critical acclaim and commercial success, #3 on Billboard, viral on streaming, her defiant story resonating globally. But success brought visibility, and visibility brought danger. The death threat arrived via courier, professional, untraceable. A photo of Queen on stage, crosshairs over her heart. Message, partners die together. Tae-jun's response was immediate lockdown. No public appearances, no performances. Security tripled again. I can't live like this, Queen said. You don't have a choice. Someone wants you dead. Then let them try. I'm not hiding. Queen, no, I've spent my whole life shrinking to make others comfortable. I won't do it anymore, not even for you. They fought for the first time. Really fought. Voices raised, accusations flying. You're being reckless, you're being controlling. I'm trying to protect you. I don't need protection, I need partnership. It ended with Queen leaving the penthouse for Keisha's hotel, needing space. You're really fighting with the gangster who loves you over a death threat? Keisha asked. I'm fighting with my partner over autonomy. Queen collapsed on the bed. He wants to lock me away. I want to live. Both things can be true. He loves you, so he's scared. You're you, so you're brave. Just meet in the middle. What's the middle between safe and free? Strategic risk. Keisha grinned. You perform, but with his security. You live, but smart. Compromise. Queen hated that her baby sister was right. She returned to the penthouse that night. Tae-jun was in his office, looking exhausted. I'm sorry, they said simultaneously. Queen crossed to him. I was wrong to ignore the threat. You were wrong to try to cage me. We both need to do better. Agreed. He pulled her onto his lap. Here's my counteroffer. You perform at the Seoul Music Festival next month. I provide security, visible and invisible. You get your freedom, I get peace of mind. And the death threat? I'm handling it. Hyun-woo traced the courier to a remnant of Van Helsing's network. Small players trying to make names. I'll have them neutralized before the festival. Neutralized how? Legally, arrests, prosecutions, no bodies. He met her eyes. I promised you I'd try to be better than my inheritance. Let me prove it. Queen kissed him. Okay, but I want updates. Full transparency. Deal. The investigation moved quickly. 3 men arrested, evidence of conspiracy to commit murder, connections to international crime syndicates. By the time the Seoul Music Festival arrived, the threat was contained. Queen performed Too Much Woman to 20,000 people. Tae-jun watched from backstage, surrounded by security but smiling. When she hit the final note, defiant, powerful, alive, the crowd erupted. Backstage afterwards, sweaty and exhilarated, Queen found him. That, he said, was extraordinary. That was freedom. She kissed him hard. Thank you for letting me have it. Thank you for letting me keep you safe while you did. The festival's after-party was exclusive. Celebrities, politicians, Seoul's elite. Queen worked the room, Tae-jun beside her, their partnership on full display. Until a young woman approached, early 20s, nervous. Ms. Latifa, I'm Sun Hee. Van Helsing assaulted me 2 years ago. I never reported it. But seeing you fight back, it gave me courage. I'm pressing charges now. Queen's throat tightened. I'm so sorry that happened to you. Don't be sorry. Be proud you saved me. Sun Hee's eyes shone. You saved a lot of us. When she left, Queen turned to Tae-jun. This is why we do it. I know, he squeezed her hand. You're changing the world, one survivor at a time. But the world had other plans. The news broke at midnight. Choi Tae-jun under investigation, allegations of racketeering, money laundering. Queen's blood went cold reading it. Federal prosecutors, years of surveillance, indictment pending. She found Tae-jun in his office, calm as always. It's political, he said. Retaliation for Mrs. Choi's arrest. Her allies in government are striking back. Can they make it stick? Some of it. My organization isn't clean, Queen. I've protected you from the details, but I've broken laws. Many laws. I knew this day might come. Queen's world tilted. What happens now? I fight. Legally. I have the best attorneys money can buy. He looked at her. But I need you to understand something. If I go down, they'll come for you next. Partnership with me makes you an accessory in their eyes. Then we fight together. No. His voice was firm. I won't let you burn because of me. If it comes to trial, you walk away. Publicly, completely. Save yourself. I'm not leaving you. Queen. No, we're partners. That means we face this together. She gripped his hands. I didn't survive Van Helsing just to abandon you when things get hard. We're in this, both of us. Tae-jun's composure finally cracked. He pulled her close, his breath shaky. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. I know. She smiled against his chest. Now let's go destroy some prosecutors. The battle began the next morning. Tae-jun's legal team, 8 attorneys, all brilliant, went to war. Motions filed, evidence challenged, witnesses cross-examined. Queen stood beside him through every hearing, every deposition, visible and unashamed. The media had a field day. Queen Latifah stands by criminal boyfriend, love or stupidity. But Queen didn't care. She gave one interview to a sympathetic journalist. Yes, I'm with Tae-jun. Yes, I know about the investigation. And yes, I'm staying. Because I know who he is. Not just the criminal the prosecutors paint, but the man who saved me, who builds protection for survivors, who's trying to be better than his legacy. That's the man I love. Judge if you want. I'm done apologizing. The interview went viral. Comments split evenly, half calling her brave, half calling her delusional. Do you regret it? Keisha asked. Not even a little. The investigation dragged for months. Tae-jun's organization was raided, assets frozen, employees questioned. He endured it with characteristic control, but Queen saw the strain, the sleepless nights, the weight loss, the way his hands shook sometimes when he thought she wasn't looking. Talk to me, she said one night. I'm fine. Liar. He smiled sadly. I'm terrified. Not of prison, I can handle that, but of losing you. You won't. You can't promise that. If I'm convicted, you'll move on. Find someone legitimate. Safe. Better. Queen climbed onto his lap, framing his face. Listen to me. I don't want legitimate. I don't want safe. I want you. Flawed, complicated, criminal you. Because you're also brilliant, protective, and the only man who's ever treated me like an equal. So stop trying to push me away and let me love you. His kiss was desperate, grateful. I don't deserve you. Probably not. Lucky for you, I'm staying anyway. The trial ended in a mistrial. Jury couldn't reach consensus. Prosecutors vowed to retry. Ta-Jun's attorneys negotiated a plea deal instead. Probation, asset forfeiture, dissolution of certain business interests. Legal, but devastating. You're taking the deal? Queen asked. Yes, it's the best option to keep you safe. What about your organization? I'll rebuild. Smaller, cleaner, legal. He looked at her. I meant what I said before. I want to be better. This is how. Queen felt something shift. Pride, hope, the recognition that change was actually possible. Then let's build something new, she said, together. They did. Ta-Jun restructured his empire into legitimate businesses, real estate, tech investments, security consulting. Queen's foundation expanded globally. They split time between Seoul and the States, building a life that was messy and complicated and entirely theirs. It wasn't perfect. They still fought about boundaries, about risk, about the balance between protection and freedom. But they always came back to center, partners, equals, choosing each other. 2 years after the corridor, Queen stood in Ta-Jun's penthouse, wearing his shirt, watching Seoul wake up. The city looked different now, familiar, almost home. Coffee? Ta-Jun emerged from the bedroom, hair sleep-mussed, looking younger than his reputation. Please. She accepted the cup. I've been thinking. Dangerous. Shut up, she smiled. I want to move here, part-time. Set up a real base for the Foundation's Asia operations. Split my time 50-50 between Seoul and L.A. Ta-Jun went still. Man, you're serious. Dead serious. I'm tired of transients. I want roots. With you. Queen, I know it's complicated. My career, your business, logistics, but we make everything else work. Why not this? He set down his cup, crossed to her. Because I never dared hope you'd want this as much as I do. Well, I do. So let's figure it out. They did. Queen bought an apartment in Gangnam, her space, her sanctuary. Ta-Jun helped furnish it but never pressured to move in. They kept separate homes, separate lives, but overlapping orbits. The foundation flourished. Queen hired staff, opened offices, launched programs supporting survivors across Asia. Ta-Jun provided connections and resources, staying carefully behind the scenes. Her career evolved too. She performed less, produced more, mentored young artists. The work felt meaningful in ways fame never had. And through it all, they built something rare. Partnership without possession, love without losing themselves. Tell me something true, Queen said one night. I think we're going to make it, Ta-Jun said. Long term, forever, all of it. Why? Because we keep choosing each other. Every day, every fight, every compromise. That's not romance, that's revolution. Queen climbed onto his lap. You've gotten poetic in your old age. Blame you. You've made me soft. Liar, you're harder than ever. I should know. I make you that way. His laugh was pure joy. That you do. They made love slowly, thoroughly, with the comfort of time and certainty. Afterward, tangled together, Queen voiced the thought she'd been carrying. Do you ever regret it? The corridor? Everything that came after? Ta-Jun considered. I regret that you were hurt, that Van Helsing existed, that you had to fight so hard for basic safety. But us? Never. You're the best thing that ever came from my mother's promise. What was the promise exactly? Protect what's valuable. Never let power destroy beauty. He kissed her forehead. You're both. You'll always be both. Queen's eyes burned. I love you. I know. I love you too. Even though I'm too fat to love, especially because you're too much woman for small men to handle. His smile was wicked. Good thing I'm not small. She laughed, swatted him. Arrogant, confident. There's a difference. Spring turned to summer turned to fall. Queen's life found rhythm. 3 months Seoul, 3 months L.A., constant travel between. Exhausting, but exhilarating. Keisha visited often, eventually bringing a boyfriend Ta-Jun thoroughly vetted. I'm protective, sue me. Queen's mother came once, reluctant but curious. She left charmed by Ta-Jun's manners and impressed by his obvious devotion. He's good for you, she admitted. I still don't understand the gangster thing. Former gangster, mostly. But he loves you right. That's what matters. What mattered? It was such a simple phrase for such complicated truth. The Foundation's second anniversary gala was the event of the season. A-list attendance, massive fundraising, global coverage. Queen gave the keynote speech. 2 years ago, I was assaulted. I fought back, and in fighting back, I found my voice. Not just as a singer, but as a survivor. This foundation exists because one moment of violence didn't destroy me. It transformed me. And if my transformation can help one person, one survivor, one woman who thinks she's too broken to be whole, then every hard moment was worth it. The applause was thunderous. Ta-Jun watched from the front row, eyes shining with pride. Later, on the balcony overlooking the party, he found her. That was incredible, he said. That was necessary. Queen leaned into him. I used to think trauma defined me. Now I know it just refined me. There's a difference. Wise words from a wise woman. I learned from watching you. Survival isn't just living through horror. It's building something beautiful from the ruins. Is that what we are? Something beautiful? Queen considered the question seriously. Their relationship wasn't traditional. It wasn't safe. It wasn't what anyone expected, but it was theirs. Yeah, she said finally. We're beautiful, in our own twisted way. I'll take twisted if it means keeping you. Good, because I'm not going anywhere. Below, the party sparkled. Above, Seoul's stars watched, indifferent, and between them, Queen and Taejun stood, two people who'd found each other in a corridor, built a partnership from chaos and refused to let the world define their love. Tell me something true, Taejun said. Queen smiled. I am too fat to love, sir, in the way the world expects, but I can make you hard, make you soft. Make you better, and that's worth more than their approval ever could be. Always has been, he agreed. They stayed there until the party ended, until Seoul slept, until morning came again with new challenges and old promises. Together, partners, building revolution one choice at a time. The warehouse reeked of gunpowder and desperation. Queen pressed against the concrete pillar, breathing hard, Taejun beside her reloading his weapon with practiced efficiency. Thought you went legitimate, she gasped. I did, they didn't. He checked the clip. Ready? Born ready. They'd been tracking the human trafficking ring for 8 months. Queen's Foundation flagging victims, Taejun's network tracing buyers. Tonight was supposed to be surveillance. Instead, they'd walked into an ambush. Bullets pinged off metal. Voices shouted in Russian, remnants of the Novikov Bratva, Van Helsing's old partners, still bitter, still dangerous. On 3, Taejun said. 1. Queen threw the flash grenade she'd been palming. The explosion was deafening. They moved as one, her left, him right, a years of trust translating to perfect coordination. She heard him taking down targets, efficient and cold. She focused on the laptop in the corner, evidence they needed. She grabbed it, downloading data to the secure drive in her pocket. Got it, she called. Exit north. Taejun appeared beside her, blood on his sleeve. You hit? No, you? Scratch, move. They ran through the warehouse maze, sirens wailing outside. Backup, Interpol agents Taejun had alerted before they had entered. Legal, clean, by the book, mostly. Outside, night air hit like absolution. Agent Rousseau met them, exasperated. Mr. Choi, Miss Latifa, we've discussed this. Leave the fieldwork to professionals. We are professionals, Queen said, handing over the drive. That's got everything. Buyer lists, financial transfers, shipping routes. You're welcome. Rousseau sighed but pocketed the drive. One of these days, you're going to get killed playing vigilante. Vigilante implies lawlessness, Taejun corrected. We're consultants, very proactive consultants. Semantics. But Rousseau almost smiled. Get out of here before I have to actually arrest you. In the car, adrenaline fading, Queen started laughing. We're insane. Completely. Taejun pulled her close, but effective. 5 years, and we're still doing this. Would you want it any other way? Queen thought about their life, the foundation rescuing hundreds, Taejun's businesses funding legitimate change, their partnership dismantling predators one operation at a time. It was messy, dangerous, totally illegal in the ways that mattered. It was perfect. No, she said honestly. Ma, I wouldn't change a thing. Back at the penthouse, cleaned up and safe, they stood at the windows. Seoul glittered below, alive with possibility. Tell me something true, Taejun said. I'm pregnant. He went perfectly still. What? 3 months. Wanted to be sure before I told you. Queen turned to face him. You're going to be a father. Surprise. His expression cycled through shock, joy, terror, love, everything at once. A baby, he whispered. A baby, which means no more warehouse raids for me. For a while, anyway. For forever. I'm not raising our child in combat zones. Queen laughed. We'll see. But yeah, things need to change. Again, good changes? The best changes. She took his hands. We're building a future, Taejun. Not just for us, for them. He kissed her like prayer, like promise. Still like the 5 years since the corridor had taught him nothing except how to love her better. Partners? He asked. Parents, Queen corrected. But yeah, partners first, always. Outside, Seoul breathed. Inside, they began the next chapter. Messier, scarier, infinitely more beautiful than anything that came before. Because love, they'd learned, wasn't the fairy tale ending. It was the dangerous middle where you kept choosing each other despite everything, and they were just getting started. This story was crafted to honor survivors, celebrate partnership over possession, and explore how trauma can transform rather than destroy. Queen and Taijun's journey isn't traditional romance. It's something raw, harder, and ultimately more honest about what it takes to build love in a broken world. Which moment hit you hardest? The corridor scene, the Van Helsing confrontation, or the final warehouse battle? Drop your thoughts below. I want to hear which part of their wild ride spoke to you most. And if you've ever had to choose between safety and freedom in a relationship, you're not alone. Sometimes the bravest thing we do is stay. If this story made you feel something, rage, hope, desire, anything, smash that like button and subscribe to Love and Tension for more stories that don't apologize for being too much. Because just like Queen, we're done shrinking to make the world comfortable.